Hey guys, welcome back to Day-to-Day Chess. This is Subscribers Week, and I really hope you submitted your games so that you have them featured on my YouTube channel. If you haven't done so yet, I have one more spot for a game on tomorrow or Saturday. It depends how good your game is. So make sure you submit your games ASAP. My email address is foisors@yahoo.com. Of course, you can find that email address in the description below, so be sure to check it out and send me your games if you have some interesting ones. Once this week will be over, I probably will be thinking of making another one maybe once a month or something like that, or maybe I'll just have a day every week where I'll be looking over my subscribers' games, depending on how many I get. So anyways, that's the end of the announcement. For today, I've prepared a game of a really good friend of mine, but I'd like this person to remain anonymous, and so will the opponent of this person. So two anonymous players, all I can tell you about them is that White is a player of around 1800, 1900, and then with Black, it's an international master of around 2400. So that's all you have to know, and hopefully you'll enjoy this game and have a lot to learn. Alrighty, let's get started. Knight f3 was the move with which White started, and it's called the Schlechter system. We've talked about this in one of my videos. If you haven't checked the Schlechter, the game where I talked about Schlechter, make sure you check that YouTube out. And we're getting into a reti with g3, bishop g2, knight d7. The idea of knight d7 is to prepare e5. So basically, Black brings the control and wants to play e5, and instead of utilizing the opportunity of playing c5 and developing the knight in c6, instead Black wants to get a reversed Pirc, so play e5. And unless you want to play a reversed Pirc with White, then you should be playing d4. So like that, you stop any e5s, at least for the moment, and you're getting some kind of Catalan. It really depends if you're going to play c4 or not. A very good approach. And what I like about these knight f3 starts with knight f3 is that sometimes you can get some other systems that are not that theoretical, and you can always just play by strength to see who is really better. So a very interesting approach by White. And now castle. And Black has the opportunity here of playing c5. Instead, Black went for c6, which, you know, what I would say is you should not give your opponent always like direct ideas of what you're going to do, and just if you want to play c6, just play first knight f6, wait for White to play c4, and then play c6, you know? Like, you just basically commit with c6 too early, and that's something I'd recommend you to be more cautious about. b3, okay, a very nice idea chosen by White to finish up the development. Knight f6, bishop b2, bishop d6, and actually bishop d6, I'm already pointing out that there are ideas with e4, e5 here for White. So of course, when White is going to play e4, you're going to trade, but then the bishop in d6 is going to be exposed. And another idea that's very famous for this problem between the knight in f6 and the bishop in d6 is that White can play at some point knight e5, and then you will never be able to capture with the knight, which is normally what you want to do. You want to make that trade, because the pawn will take back and there will be a fork. And of course, you don't want to give away that bishop because that's your good bishop. So that's why people normally play bishop e7 this position. But okay, Black went for bishop d6, knight d2, a very nice approach. So like I said, when you're starting with knight f3, sometimes you have the opportunity of getting better systems depending on whether your opponent allows you to do so or not. c4. Rook e8. Black is preparing to play e5. Well, what do you think? You're the only one, rook e1. However, in this position, I would have preferred maybe to go for knight e5. And the idea is I don't want to allow Black to play e5, but also I'm not allowing you to capture in e5 because I already described you a couple of moves earlier why that is a bad, terrible idea. You would be losing 2 pieces after the capture. And so now I'm taking your bishop. You have to go back, and now I can think of some h3 maybe. And then at some point some f4, basically trying the Pillsbury attack. It wouldn't be exactly the Pillsbury because this is not the Queen's Gambit, but still, you know, Pillsbury idea with f4, f5. So I would have preferred this knight e5 idea. But rook e1 is okay as well, preparing e4, of course. And here, I was a little bit surprised by black's approach in this position. The international master went for a5. Instead of this a5, probably I would be thinking of some maybe rook c8 here, to prepare some c5 breaks in this position. Oops, I'm so sorry. Or maybe some, let's say bishop h5 in this position, you know, to kind of get the bishop away, bring it towards g6, see what white is going to do. Leave that space free if at some point you're thinking to play some knight g4 and try to trade that knight, which is going to most likely go to e5. So a5 seems a little bit strange to me at this particular moment of the game. But okay, e4. And here, of course, black captured in e4. You can't allow e5. Another approach to stop this, of course, the threat of white is e5, is for black to play e5. But there's a little problem in this position. I can capture, and I'll play h3. And the problem is, you can't really go bishop h5. You have to take in f3 and then give your bishop pair. And I would be super happy with white to get this position with the bishop pair. The center is about to be opened. I don't really have weaknesses, and we're both about the same with the development. So this position is definitely a little bit better for white. Why did I say that black is forced to capture in f3 after h3? Because if you go for bishop h5, I can play g4. You have to go bishop g6, and now I can take in e5. Knight takes, bishop takes. Bishop takes, rook takes, a bunch of trades, right, with a really good reason, f4. And of course the idea is to play f5. Of course I'm attacking your rook as well. And this happened to me at some point, and ever since I'm always super careful not to allow a move like this, f4 attacking something and then f5 trapping my bishop in g6. I'm telling you, it's very painful when that happens to you, so you have to be very cautious about this. That was probably the reason why the international master didn't go for e5. Instead captured in e4. But what's going on here after these captures? Well, white remains with the center. So now we are talking about the hyper-modern ideas where you're giving away the center just temporary, because later you want to break through that center with c5 or e5 with black. So that's basically going to be black's main idea, and we'll have to figure out a way to do so. Okay, knight f6, rook e3. Very normal to keep the rook quite active and be able to play some rook d3 maybe at some point, or just be flexible on the third rank. Maybe we just want to double on the e file, who knows. And black, I think, made a mistake here. It's not a big mistake, it's just not the way to go in this position, a4. I don't think it's the right way, because with white we have more space here, so in fact we would like to open up the position on the queen's side, so black is actually helping a little bit. I personally would have played maybe a move like h6 first, and then move my queen possibly to c7, and then try to play c5 or e5, either one of them, and of course rook to d8. Yeah, a4 I think is just a little bit helping, and here with white I would probably have played h3 to make black decide whether they are going to take in f3 or just go back. And if they go back, then okay, maybe we can even take in a4. Why not? You know, it's a pawn, it's an open file. We are going to play on the queen side. But queen e1 was the choice of white. Knight d7. So black is going to prepare some breaks. h3. And now g4. I really don't like this move. I think white is weakening the position too much and allowing this bishop f4 later on, which which is not something you would like to do with white. Why play g4? There's no need, there's no more pin here going on. So personally, I would have played b4. I would think this was the idea of queen e1 to control the b4 square. Play b4, then we are going to strengthen that pawn, bring the rook on the d file, and then try to figure out how we continue, if we're going to play d5 maybe ourselves, or prepare some b5 to open this bishop. But g4 I really don't think it was necessary. And now queen c3, queen a5. Black decided to trade queens, which is quite alright for white. And here bishop c3, I don't really think it's necessary to play this move once again. Why not just go and try to win this bishop? And if you go bishop to c2, maybe I can play rook c1, you know, and take is not going to help you. You have to go back, and with white I'll win the bishop, and I think the position is about equal. I can't do that much with my bishop pair because at least you have the a file. But bishop c3 was white choice, and then b4. This works as well, but there is a problem now that the queens are off the board. This bishop won't have that much to do. We have to find a way to open it up. And here, after rook a to d8, which black should have played, I think black will start having some chances with knight b6 and putting pressure on d4, c4. It's going to be tough for white, but okay, still the position is about equal. But bishop d3 was black's choice, and here it's maybe not that easy to see, but I would have played bishop d2. And with the idea, of course, in case you capture, I take back with the knight, and my pawn is protected. If you don't capture and go back, I play rook c1, and I've defended my position, and I've improved the position of my bishop, because in c3, it's not doing very much. It's just protecting two pawns. So bishop f1 instead was played, and I think this bishop should be kept and not traded, because this bishop from g2 will become strong eventually on this diagonal once we can prepare some b5 and open it up. Here b5, after b5, white made a big positional mistake playing c5. Why is this a positional mistake? Well, my signs already point out. d4 remains backwards pawn, and the d5 square is given away forever. So this knight that wasn't doing much has a clear idea of what to do now. So instead of that, either play d5 directly or capture first and d5. And then rook d1, and you want to get rid of this pawn, or if you don't get rid and black plays e5, you still play rook to d1, and at least you have a passed pawn. It's going to be very, very tough for black to actually win it. We can try to find a way to bring the knight in e4 as well, or maybe f5 too, and this position is good for white. c5 was a mistake, and here bishop c7. Of course, black does not want to trade that bishop for the moment, but it could have been okay to trade it because it would have gotten rid of a piece that could defend that pawn d4, and black would have focused on that. But instead played h5, sorry. Takes, not my natural move to make, but there is a clear idea why you would take there. To make this knight go away, and now the knight is not controlling the d5 square. So here we have this nice breakthrough, which white should have done, because after you take, I liberated the d4 square, so I can come knight to d4, attacking the pawn. You have to go there, now attacking the rook again, and your rook is going to be kind of passive. I can play rook d1, and it's not going to be easy for black to actually push those pawns. So I believe in this position, white has plenty of compensation for the given away pawn. After king g2, I just feel that it was very clear and easy for black to continue the game, and I'm just going to play a little bit more to show you how this game went. Now there's this h3 weakness, so black went for that. There's this weakness as well. Your bishop in d2 doesn't do much. You have the weakness in e6, but I can just protect it and even if white tried to trade some pieces, it wasn't super helpful, because white still remains with many weaknesses, and this is a bad bishop. That will be a big weakness in an endgame as well. So I think I should stop here. What I want to tell you is that we have so much to learn from everybody's games. It's not only top players that can teach us a lot, it's weaker players as well. And We always have to embrace every single game that we can see and learn from, because there are always super important ideas in every game. Stay tuned for more tomorrow.